The new Black Wall Street. Do it right, build wealth, live life, economic empowerment, real tips, insight on the new Black Wall Street. It's on the new Black Wall Street. Here's your host. The new Black.
All right, beautiful people, man. Good evening to you. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the new Black Wall Street as we welcome you to Wall Street. We're going to be taking a look at doing a quick recap of the market, see what's been going on in the market, and talk about today's topic. We're going to be actually talking about CashApp stocks. Ways you can use CashApp to invest and actually do a search and find, and kind of what I do and some things that I do in order to be able to find some diamonds in the rough. And so I've been really pleased with the functionality of this app and what they've been adding to it as we continue to move forward. So I wanted to share with you guys a few things that might be helpful to you as you may begin to do research or begin to look for things in order to find ways to multiply your money. That's what it comes down to. The concept of investing is to put your money into a place where it'll be more valuable in the future than it is today. And so that's the whole concept. And so there's a lot of ways that you can do that. One of those ways, as far as investing is concerned, that's why we have business. Business is actually an investment. A business produces something or acquires something through trade that's more valuable in the marketplace than what they acquired it for, what they created it for, produced it for, brings a particular value back into the market, and then they're able to sell that for profit. And so those profits will represent a return on their investment, the investment to get the raw material to produce said product, i.e. a hat or whatever the case may be. And then the return on that investment would be the profits that they accrue from the sale of that particular item. Another place that we invest, obviously, the biggest place we invest is ourselves. We invest, into our education in order to become more knowledgeable or more skilled, so that we can command more in the marketplace. That's the number one place that we should be investing is in ourselves, our education. Becoming a better version of ourselves each and every day. Then we can actually command more money in the marketplace. But particularly what I focus on in teaching or discussing or presenting is investing in the stock market, because this is a place where businesses have already been established that provide value to the marketplace, and we continue to consume that value or use that value or pay for that value. Those who provide the value get rich, and those who buy the value get the stuff. Well, my what I contend is don't just get the stuff, but get the profit with the stuff, or participate in the profits while you still going to get the stuff anyway. So, one of the main things that I do to be, to have somewhat of success when it comes to investing is I just look at what I use I look at what I use first, and then I try to find, based upon what I use and what's valuable in the things that I use, the companies that I already do business with. I just invest in those. I don't invest in all of them. I do my research first, and then I invest in some of those. And then I began to move into things that I don't necessarily use, but I see that other people use and find value. The interesting thing is that there's over 12,000 some odd companies that you could invest in. And so I don't, very, very difficult to go off into a place where you are unfamiliar and have some success. But you can stay in a place where you are familiar. You can look at what you buy. You can look at where you work. You can look at these things, these areas that you already are familiar with. You have some level of knowledge or understanding about, and that puts you into a better position to make better, better quality decisions as it relates to what you do with your money. If you do anything with your money, one thing about our community is that this is an area that we haven't really been exposed to very much. Very rarely is it discussed, talked about, brought up, and so I just wanted to provide a service and fill a hole, because this is where Wall Street is where people get rich. Wall Street is where the whole concept of what we consider to be capitalism or free enterprise, the whole concept of trade, between not just interstate but international trade. This is where it happens, and too many of us simply are not familiar with it. What's going on with Adicia? How are you? She said Kimberly Clark tissue. We use it, right? And then what's been going on with tissue, right? Tissue has been very hot commodity. It's been something that first wave of coronavirus was sold out, which is good for Kimberly Clark, right? Depending on what type of tissue, but all different type of paper products. And then obviously they provide a lot of different items that we find valuable. And so Kimberly Clark is a very popular big company. And I'm glad you brought it up to Miss. I want to say it's Edica. I'm just calling you Robertson. It looks like you got your first name and last name backwards. Is your last name really Robertson? Your first name Adica? Anyway, I think your last name is first, and you got it backwards on Facebook for some reason. But anyway, as you guys are thinking about that, think about what it is that you use that is that's valuable, and that people continue to pay for, and continue to make rich or get wealthy, continue to help become a valuable company in this marketplace. So welcome to Wall Street, man. This is very common. I think it's a common sense approach. Doesn't really involve a lot of numbers, a lot of the deep analysis. I think some of the stuff is quite common sense. Once you get past the common sense, you find some common sense things to invest in that make sense for you. Then you can move on into, okay, well, now I'm going to really get into deep study to so I can start finding these diamonds in the rough. But I think that starting out with common sense things. I mean, there's a lot of things that are like common sense, right? For example, like Amazon. I think that's common sense. Like, why wouldn't you want to own some Amazon? Like it has created the richest man in the world. And all of us have probably been living here on this earth long enough to see the rise, of Amazon from garage to, second biggest company in the world, I believe, something like that, right? So some things to me are like no brainers. As far as getting started, if you haven't got started, you don't have to go and find something that no one else sees because everything is available to everybody. What I say is, get into the game some way, somehow, somewhere. Start to see a win. Start to see what this looks like to wake up, and your money made money without you having to do anything. You look at an app or you look at Yahoo Finance or whatever program you might be using, and you look at it, a week from now or a month from now, you realize that your money did something that you didn't have to go clock in for. And this is where we call it passive income. We call it investing as well. This is where money really is being made. So we're going to take a look today. We're going to do a quick recap as far as what Apple with Tim Cook. All right, that's what's going on, Mr. Sear, right? Out of Cleveland, Ohio, man. Thanks so much for joining. What's going on with you? Thank you. Apple, Amazon, these are some no-brainers, man. These are companies that have changed the world, and we have watched them change the world. We've watched them. We've watched these companies grow. We've been a part of them since they have got most of the time since we got started. And what's going on, Miss? Look at that. She said, "Hey, she out of Montgomery, Alabama. Amazon $3,000 per share. If I knew in 1996, well, what about 2006? Right? What about 2016? Right? Tesla, Mr. C, he named some stuff right now. Bitcoin, that's pretty new. That might not necessarily be something that everybody is really familiar with. That's relatively new. But Bitcoin is obviously it's not really a stock market, but it's still part of Wall Street. It just recently hit a new all-time high, but I think it retracted today. That's what's going on with Bitcoin. People don't really understand Bitcoin. I've been talking about Bitcoin for about 3 years. I don't talk about it as often because it's just not as familiar. But we can definitely do some discussions on Bitcoin at any point in time. You guys like to do that. Man, why you guys are joining, man, hit the like button, the share button if you care. Like button, the share button if you care. How many black folk talking about money on a Thursday night instead of watching football? Let me know where you're connecting from, what city, what state, as well. Today's episode is being brought to you by ERGJ Black Bazaar. We'll see a little quick advert from them, and then we'll get right into our discussion tonight.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to work.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. It's not working. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. Check out our sponsor by simply you can buy black, shop black by simply going to the website www.theblackbazaar.com, www.theblackbazaar.com. The Afrocentric Marketplace specializes in Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, and Black art inspired gifts. Thanks so much for the support. Hey guys, here's my first question to you, man. Welcome you to Wall Street. As we kind of have this discussion, we're going to take a look at what has happened today. Our quick summary. We're going to get this from Yahoo Finance, then we'll get into. I'll take a look into our CashApp top performing stocks and CashApp. Here's my question to you: as we finish out our 2020 COVID year, our COVID-19 2020 year, it's time for us to start looking ahead. It's time for us to start looking into 2021 and beyond, because again, the whole concept of investing. Here's a simple thought: it's basically placing a bet on what you believe is going to happen in the future, right? This is basically what it is. I mean, you do have some, investing does come with some research and some looking at what has happened in the past. But it really comes down to your belief on what will transpire into the future. So if you took your crystal ball out and you looked into 2021, let's just say 6 months into 2021, 9 months or 12 months into the year, what are some things that you're expecting to have an impact of change in the market? What are some things that you're expecting to have an impact of change in the market? So as you guys are answering that, I want to get your answer, get some ideas from you guys. What's going to cause the market to change? It's basically what I just asked you. What will cause the market to change as we move into 2021? Now, obviously, 2020 was a year that we saw, some drastic changes. We obviously, and the biggest impact on 2020 was COVID-19. And so with the 3 months into the year, everything was going fine. Boom, COVID-19 hit in China, started to spread through the world, and that caused a major economic shift, to the marketplace. We see rampant unemployment being filed. We see stimulus checks coming through to help people weather the storm. We see businesses that didn't have deep enough pockets and that did not get enough money to sustain themselves go out of business. We've seen a lot of stores closing. Now, stores close all the time. By the way, each and every year, some businesses go out of business. It's just what it is. But this was something that was impacted beyond how they were already struggling. Just imagine for a second, you're a company that's been running on thin air for the past 5 years. I mean, you just been barely making it, right? You've been still in business, but you've been barely making it in business, and then now you get hit with COVID-19, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now you're out of business, and not only are you out of business, that causes people that you employ to be out of work. And so this has been an impact on the market in 2020. But the interesting thing is, the impact that happens, it comes in what we call a shift. So the shift went from some sectors to other sectors, right? So that shift where we saw an influx in sectors would be obviously technology had a big boom because now people were working from home. People were using this technology in order to communicate and connect. To satisfy our social distancing, protocols, to still be able to do business, to still be able to connect, and still be able to have Thanksgiving or whatever the case may be. So technology had a big boost. What do we see that had that was shifted that really got hit hard? Travel, right? Nobody's really traveling and going on vacation and taking a cruise or whatever the case may be. I mean, cruise ships are down. So we've seen a shift in positive or the pro in some areas of industries, and we've seen that shift or this impact negatively impacted for other industries with what happened with COVID-19. Now, the part about it to me that I look at, I say, okay, well, in 2020, March of 2020, we went into this. We got hit with this thing, and this was the impact of something we could not foresee. Right, electric cars boom too. Right, we ride sharing program. I mean, we can go. I mean, you guys help me out, and I can't think of everything by myself. Electric cars, your work from home, your Zooms, and all that stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at a lot of different stuff, but to go into a pandemic, we're going to be coming out of a pandemic at some point in time. So right now, like I said, we'll catch up on what's happened today because I think today was a very a lot happened today. I did not get the update on what happened with the marijuana bill vote in the House. That's going to be big. We'll talk about that. Another stimulus package is trying to get approved. That's going to be big. When people get money, they spend money. When people spend money, those businesses that they spend money with profit. And where they're going to spend their money at? That's interesting. So these are things as well. So the thing I want you to think about is what's going to cause the market to change in the future, in the near future, in the upcoming year of 2021. What are some things that you foresee? You're like, yeah, this is probably going to be a big impact on the marketplace. I'm just thinking, there's so many different things I'm thinking about as far as what has happened and the shift of money flow and getting behind those in those spaces to really still have your money grow even during a pandemic. Not too many people can say that they put themselves in a position where they actually made more money. They actually made money, still continued to make money or made money during this pandemic time. A lot of people are in a position where they lost a lot of money. A lot of people are in a position where they couldn't find work. A lot of people have been in a position that are dependent upon the government, right? But that's not everybody. Some people have put themselves in a position where they've taken advantage or they benefited or put themselves in a position to capitalize on what has happened during this pandemic time. So Miss Adika, okay, I got you. Adika said, hey, energy, vaccines, look at this, cybersecurity, drug industry. I guess you're connecting that to vaccines, drug industry. It's very interesting. So you're seeing these as 4 spaces that you're like, yeah, this is probably, now it's very interesting because they give us some clues too. Let me go over here because I want to catch up on, I want to look at pull my thing up for you guys. Ooh, I ain't done this in a while. It's fun. All right. So here is Yahoo and kind of a recap from today. No point in me doing the whole recap when they did a good job themselves. So I just use their stuff. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you guys. All right. So what I do is when I am reading this stuff, I'm not really just taking what they say word for word. I'm really trying to find clues within the news, right? Because I believe the news is a medium that shares information, but if you know how to really read it and interpret it, you can take that information and make money off of it. Although, it is what it is. So Emily McCormick from Yahoo Finance writes this. She's talking about the S&P 500, how it eked out another all-time high. So the S&P 500 finished higher today. It's still continuing to grow, even at after we just got through November, which is a great month for stocks. And here, as you just said, Mr. Dicker, here's what's been popping today. Energy stocks and crude oil prices advance. Now, this is interesting. When I think about, because I've been big into oil, but oil and energy kind of go together. I'm saying to myself, what do I think is going to happen in 2021 at when when we get through the pandemic and when people begin to, let's just say we get to the spring and summer of 2021, because we know that through about February, March is still cold. People still getting through the flu season and COVID-19 season. Well, when things open up, we are going to when things open back up, people are going to have, ready to start move around and take their vacations and stuff. Well, in order for them to transport or to move about, they're going to have to fly, or they're going to have to take a boat or something, or a car to get to where they want to go, wherever that may be. And that's going to be good for oil, right? That's going to be good for oil. So energy stocks and crude oil prices are already beginning to advance. They're already beginning to anticipate, right? To anticipate some things that are take place. You got OPEC and their cuts to production, which reduces supply, which is offset of demand, which eventually increases prices for that particular thing. And then you have energy stocks as well. So there's an OPEC meeting that's taking place on Thursday. If it goes the way that investors expect it to go, we can continue to see a rise in energy and oil stocks in the marketplace in the near future. This is very good news, because energy stocks were being beaten up before coronavirus even hit, and so you can imagine how valuable or how overlooked they have been, although they still provide a valuable commodity to our world in order to be able to move around and do some of the things that we do. What's going on, Cesar? I heard the vaccines don't make money. Well, that's a good thing. That's an interesting concept. So when you say vaccines don't make money, the vaccine itself may not make money, but it's not just the vaccine itself. It is okay. So if vaccines don't make money, who does make money off of vaccines? Think about that for a second, right? If vaccines don't make money, the vaccine itself doesn't make money. Somebody's going to make some money. Who makes money off of the distribution of the vaccine, right? Somebody's got to pay for it, and somebody's going to receive the money in order to actually put that needle in somebody's arm and for them to have that vaccine. So it's a multi-billion-dollar, transaction that's taking place in order for the vaccine to go from whoever made it to whoever's going to receive it. There's going to be a transaction of money takes place. So somebody makes some money. And not only that, there's a lot of different things connected to that process that'll make money as well. So that's what you got to start thinking about, right? Insurance companies, right? Those who actually made the vaccine, I don't know so much, but those who distribute the vaccine, a whole lot, right? Then you also have the side effects to the vaccine. So let's just say you take the vaccine, and then now you have a lot of people that's getting sick off of other stuff because their body's immune, they've been compromised and all this stuff. Now you are talking about the whole healthcare industry, right? That's being boosted not only by the vaccine in this time that we're in, but also flu season, all this stuff as well. So healthcare itself is a great place to be right about now, right? Because this is all connected to healthcare, right? Adika, I don't know. The interesting thing is, I agree with Miss Cesar about I don't really know if Moderna and Pfizer are going to really be the biggest uh, you know, the beneficiaries of, even though they may bring the vaccine to mass quantities. I don't know if they're going to be the biggest beneficiary as far as profits are concerned when it comes to the distribution of the vaccine. This is the interesting thing, man. And if you just watch, what I would challenge you guys to do as well, because they both have gone and sent their, trying to get an emergency release of this vaccine. Although they're now saying that it'll first go to the nursery, to the people that's the hospital workers, and then it'll go to the social workers, then it eventually come to the rest of the population, probably in mid-June or something like that. But typically, the company that brings the solution, as far as the creation of it or whatever the case may be, they're not always the biggest, beneficiaries as far as profits are concerned. They might get paid once, but those other companies that's surrounding this distribution, they get paid for a very long time as people keep coming in and coming in and coming in and coming in to get that vaccine. The interesting thing is going to be who pays for it, right? Will it be our tax dollars that pay for it? Will it be your insurance dollars that pay for it? I think that's going to be interesting. So anyway, let's keep going. More upbeat news around drug makers. Coronavirus vaccine emerged on Wednesday. Those did not trigger the outside move in the broader market. Britain became the world's first country to grant emergency authorization for Pfizer and BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine. So you have two companies there, Pfizer, BioNTech, and then obviously Moderna is trying to get theirs emergency authorization as well. Again, I'm not a big believer in, me personally, I'm not saying that they won't do well. I'm not going after the vaccine makers to try and get them to make my money do well. I can see some upward movement for them as far as a short term, short term, greed and short term feel good for that. But I think longer term, it comes down to the distribution of that vaccine itself. You have here again, they won't really see a widespread, become available on a widespread basis probably until middle of the year next year. They're gonna disperse it out and to who they consider to be the most critical and need at first. Now, this is this part here talks about the House. Nancy Pelosi and Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer supported a bipartisan, that means by both parties, a group of lawmakers recently unveiled a $908 billion stimulus proposal, despite the sum being less than $2 trillion package the Democratic lawmakers had previously had sought out previously. So this is a bill that was supported or sponsored by President-elect Joe Biden, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. It's a $908 billion stimulus package. It's less than the $2 trillion package that they brought to the table before, but at least this one is actually, is getting supported. It looks like by both parties, and it may clear the House. It'll still have to clear the Senate. Now, it seems like the House is basically pro-Democrat heavy, while the Senate is Republican heavy. And so we are at a time in December, January, where I'm in Georgia. There's some runoffs that's taking place, and that may actually flip the Senate. And we could end up, if it does get flipped, we could end up in a situation where we have a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate, which would go a long way to being on one accord, being on the same page as far as pushing through policies that could affect the marketplace, that could affect the route or the direction that the marketplace goes based upon the decisions that the lawmakers make surrounding the flow of money. So these are key things to try and stay abreast of. Because we'll take a look at Moderna and Pfizer as well. Try to stay abreast of, because this will help us to make decisions on how 2021 and beyond will be while we have this new regime in place. If it's pro-democrat across the board, well, we can really hone in on this plan that they have and what they stand for. If it's a Democrat and Republican face off, then some things just won't get passed, some things just won't get through because they're not on the same page as it relates to what one side wants to do and what another side will approve. So this runoff, just beyond it being whether you're red or blue or not, is kind of, from an investor standpoint, is very important. If we get an all blue, then that makes investing very easy because, again, protocols or laws that are placed, direction that they're going, it's going to be a blue direction. It's going to be very clear. It's not going to be something that's cloudy, something we have to guess about. Will this get passed? Will this go through? Will marijuana become legal? All these things, right? But if there is if there is dissension in the ranks, and we're talking about a split House and Senate, well, things become a little bit more difficult to forecast as relates to where you think the economy is going in the near future. So yeah, absolutely. So someone said that Moderna did good during the week too. Yeah, and investing comes down to time frames, right? So yeah, something could have a good week, a good day. It could also have a bad day and a bad week. So how long is the time frame? That's something you want to know too. How long is the time frame when you're looking at investing? Now I realize that when I'm talking about this, I have different philosophies that come to a platform, right? We have some people who are day traders and they're just looking at something that happens for the day. You got some people that are kind of short-term traders. They get in some position and then a month later they're out of position. You have long-term traders. You have all these different dispositions as it relates to how you approach this thing called investing or this thing called trading. So that also plays a part in your strategy as relate, as you consider, okay, well, how am I going to move forward when I know my own disposition as it relates to investing itself. So anyway, so today was a pretty decent day in the market. Those are the key things that kind of took place. That stimulus package is pretty big. S&P futures are up as well. We'll take a look here at a quick CNN money. This will kind of give us a real brief overhaul of what happened in the market today. The Dow was up 59 points. NASDAQ was flat, down 5 points. The S&P 500 again moved up to a new all-time high. It was up 6.56 points. Again, you had energy companies here, Boeing, Occidental. This is an oil company, an airline company, energy company, all in your top gainers for the day. Your losers for the day, again, we start seeing stuff like anything above 5% up or down is a big, huge move for a company. Salesforce is actually is down, although they just acquired. I think they just agreed to acquire Slack, which is a CRM work platform or something like that. Whirlpool was down 5%. Genuine Parts down. Rollins DH Horton is down. So energy had a big day today. Energy and oil had a big day today. Although oil is still at $45 per barrel, very interesting there. But look at this. Although we have coronavirus in the common market in Main Street, you have people giddy and super greedy over here on Wall Street. Now, this emotion that's driving the market, it scares me a little bit because people are just super greedy, and I understand that when people are greedy, I need to be fearful. So I'm very scared right now as we're just driving up the market, no care in the world about what's going on, anticipation of what the future is, although it's uncertain what it is. So extreme greed here. So what I do during this time is I say, okay, well, I need to find places where they're not greedy, right? So although there's extreme greed, or basically extreme greed in the whole market as a whole, this would include your tech spaces where people are just running up tech itself, 37% growth in 2020. Just think about that, for example. The NASDAQ composite index through a pandemic, since March, since the beginning of the year, if you were a heavy tech investor in 2020, you're up 37, 30, 35, 37%, 40% growth in your account if you have been heavy into investing in tech. Now, again, a lot of this was fueled by us having to rely on tech. Newer people needing to rely on tech, companies needing to rely on tech even more so because of the pandemic. So if we look at this in reverse, say, okay, well, when we're coming out of a pandemic, you could be greedy and say, okay, I'm gonna stay heavy in tech, which I don't necessarily. I'm looking to reduce my exposure to tech, although I'll keep some because there's some tech companies that's gonna still do well no matter what. Like Amazon. Amazon's about to now they're into selling season. They're into holiday season. They're tech, but they're beyond just a specific niche that they'll collapse or have a down effect as we get through the pandemic. So heavy been in the tech, but there's been quite a few sectors that have been basically written off. One has been retail trade. Of course, we've had a lot of companies that have closed their doors, shut their businesses, reduced their staff, all that stuff, all because retail went online. Everybody was buying online. Everybody's buying through the using the CashApp to do the business and doing business on Walmart.com or Amazon.com or eBay or whatever it is that they've been using in order to still spend their money, right? And so that's kind of a new wave. So the retail business where people are going, malls have died. That either has shifted or it's set to have a comeback or return. But I don't know. I'm really leery about retail, returning to its glory years. I don't think it will return, but I don't think it'll return in a way. I think it's changed forever. I think the way in which people shop has changed forever. We've been seeing this transition of change take place before COVID-19. It's not like it's new. It's like we started to see more people buying online, more people doing at-home shopping versus going to the store all the time than before COVID-19. So this was just really a move that just took it to a whole nother level. So that's not really a place I think is going to really bounce back. In a sense, it'll have its return, but it won't. I don't think it'll be as strong as return, strong as recovery as you might see in other areas. We see energy minerals. We see that having bouncing back a little bit. You see here on this list here. We see transportation starting to bounce back. So all of this stuff is looking. Wall Street is already looking ahead to what they expect to take place as we transition to new leadership. From Republican to Democrat, as we have a new leader and a new chief of staff and a new leader of the free enterprise world looking to come into office. So this right here is just kind of a quick, look at what has happened today and some things that came out today, and we just got to keep our eye on things. But I like to. My bad. I like to, kind of stay abreast of it because as things move, what I'm doing? I'm watching. You know what I mean? I'm really paying attention to how the things that I've been following, I've got a watch list, and the things that I've invested in, how they are reacting to the news. Now, here's interesting. You guys mentioned Moderna, right? And there's things that are connected to Moderna, which I find interesting. So let's take a look at Moderna. Because what I like to do is I like to look at how things move, and based on how they move, Moderna. I think that's how you spell it. Yeah, it gives me an indication of how they will continue to move. Right, so we have Moderna, which is up 630%, right, and for the year. Now, this would mean that we would have to have kind of known about Moderna way before they started. People know this stuff in advance. 3 months ago, 120%. So really, 100. Where did the 630? Where did they really have that big jump from? 138% the past 6 months. That's back to June. So this at one point in time looks like they were, I don't know, $20 share. So they've been growing for the whole year. It's not like This is very interesting now that I see this. Because the year to date means from January. January, they were trading. This is very interesting. Now, let me also tell you this, that guys, a lot of stuff is manipulated in case you don't know. It'd be interesting to see how many of these senators, politicians actually have Moderna stock. If you guys don't know, when COVID-19 hit, a lot of people, it was like a tip off that took place where you had senators that were selling stuff that was going bad. They were buying stuff that would be doing well. I wonder how many of them actually have. This is interesting. Look at this. Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Wow. Okay. So they were trading this before COVID-19. They were $18 stock before we got hit in the pandemic. And ever since then, which would be March, at about $22 a share, they have grown tremendously for the year. Now, let me ask you guys this. How many of you, how long have you known, or how long has it been since you have even heard of the name Moderna? Think about that for example. If this is very strange to me, because I would have thought when I look at this that there would be a big push, right, since maybe October, a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, because that's when I first heard about it. I ain't never heard about Moderna until it was, vaccine time. But clearly, some people knew about Moderna before the common people, right? And they probably been in this stock since it was since January, February, March, and now they're up. They're up, 600% on their investing. This is the part where it really pisses me off as a analyst and as a person who just has secondary information. We don't get primary information to common people. Primary and private information goes to the people with the big bucks first, and they make these decisions, things like that. So, Mr. Dickey, you heard about it 6 months ago. Okay, fantastic. Now, did you know that I don't know if this is your field, because some people that are in the healthcare field or in the testing field or something like that, they may have heard about it, and they may have known that this was one of the companies that's working on a vaccine. I don't know. I mean, I knew about Pfizer, but I didn't know they were working on a vaccine. I really don't follow stuff like that. That's not my lane. But this is where, like I said earlier, things that you're involved in, places that you work, it kind of gives you some inside information. So I wonder, are you in the healthcare kind of industry, Mr. Dicker? How did you hear about Moderna? Or are you just one of those, you're just a big studier. You big in you kind of follow, watch as much as you can. I can't keep my head on everything. But I find this interesting that I think I heard about it 2 months ago. Maybe. Let's just say, again, October, and it was a $69 per share. Now it's at about 142. So that's it has done very well in this time. And here's the thing. They could be a company that has their I think they said 95% rate or whatever, but they could be a company that might not get, they could get approved, they could not get approved. Who knows? These companies are racing now to get their emergency authorization put forth. In that last article we looked at, it mentioned Pfizer and biotech. It didn't mention Moderna. I find that interesting. Why Moderna wasn't mentioned in that article. I find that interesting. Let me look at Pfizer and oh, that's interesting. Maybe we want to look at Pfizer and biotech now. Pfizer and biotech. Why not? So these are companies that are pushing to get this vaccine. Now, here's what I also would say is that because I did not, get in on Moderna at an early stage, I'm not like super. I don't know if BioNTech is something I'm necessarily like. I'm not going to go check. Now, notice this. This is interesting. Pfizer, which is a more bigger company, more well-known company, it's only up 9% for the year. So you see how a smaller company, maybe like Moderna, which is Pfizer is a $207 billion company. Moderna is $50 billion. So you see how this smaller cap company can actually grow at an exorbitant rate faster than a large cap company. That's another thing that took place. Biotech is up 256%. I don't know. It doesn't say it has a. Okay, it's on the Nasdaq. It doesn't show that it had. I don't know. Look at this. I don't know. It don't have no numbers on this. This is like out of the blue. All right, anyway, let's see here. They don't have no information on biotech. It's up 256% for the year. I wonder if it's going to see a similar chart. $120 per share. So these are two companies just mentioned in the last. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, there we go. So this is the same. This is it. All right. So this too has been just growing all throughout the year. How many guys how long if you had heard about BioNTech prior to today, how long ago had you heard about it? Had this even entered your realm of knowledge? This thing has been growing like crazy all year. And it started this growth right here. Look at this. Listen, this is interesting. So on March 12th, this company was trading at $30 a share. Then 5 days later, it was trading at $100 a share. Now, how many guys have heard of biotech back in the beginning of the pandemic? You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is almost insane. This is almost like the election. You went to bed one night. Trump was up 200,000 votes. You woke up 4 hours later, and Biden was up 200,000 votes. Like, where they do that at? So look at this. If you begin to understand that this game of money, it's very difficult to win against the big boys because the big boys get information before we do. This is almost insane. So clearly, a lot of money got deposited, just started moving towards this company on March 12th. That thing went from $30 to $90 in 6 days. Come on, man. That's kind of stuff that pisses me off. So this is why for me, I focus on long-term investing because that's the only way I can beat them, right? Not the only way, but that's the best way I know of to beat them, to look long-term, where I'm not privy to the information that private institutional investors, angel investors, people with big money, they can afford to get information before I can. But clearly, some people knew or had the gumption to hear about BioNTech and get in on this thing early March, right when pandemic hit or before pandemic. I think about March 13th or so is about when it officially kind of hit us, and they were already in this thing, moving their dollars, 4xing their dollars from $20 to $9. That's 5x, basically from $20 to $100 think about that, in a 6-day time frame. If you were in a position where you could literally quadruple your money in 6 days, that's just basically what happened. And then what happened after that? Once they got that bump, that they call it pump and dump, they sold, probably captured their profits, went right back down to about $40, right? And then now the rest of this stuff it just amazes me. You can see here where the real natural curve is. Even though there's appreciation, the natural appreciation is to go. These are outliers, these big jumps. The natural curve of this line, we see where that is. So these two areas here in March and then also in July are this huge outliers for this particular company off of a natural, progression or appreciative curve. If you understand what I'm saying, it was naturally kind of moving up, But these two spaces here, this is huge volume here in April and in July for BioNTech. And again, I didn't hear about this company until just recently, 2 months ago. So I don't chase this stuff. I'll report on it. I don't chase it because it's just hard to win when you don't have, you're not giving, you don't have the information unless you can afford to get the information. Hard to win this way. But an easier place to I think to for the common people to get in and to have success is not to chase the Modernas or the BioNTechs where they've appreciated this much now. You get in now and you might end up getting it at the high end. That's buying high and selling low instead of buying low and selling high. I think for most people, in order to have success, a common idea is to buy low. So whenever I see something that's high, and we can see that this is the highest it's ever been in the past year, I don't consider that be value. It could keep moving up higher, but for me, I'm not willing to take that risk when I can find something that's low that has more probability of it moving higher over a longer term, 6 month, 6 months to a year time frame. And it's not contingent upon this, right? This is contingent upon finding the cure or coming up with a vaccine or whatever else there is for COVID-19. Well, when COVID-19 is done with and completed, and it's the danger has left the land. Well, what's going to happen to biotech? What's going to happen to Moderna? What's going to happen to their stocks then? So, not only if you get in, you also have to be in a position where you know when to get out. So that you can preserve your capital and then continue to use it to cycle over into other opportunities. Now, I mentioned I was going to kind of try to get into CashApp. I get going sometimes, guys. This stuff here this is fascinating to me. One thing that I did here on my little app here is I was playing around with this thing, and I noticed that I could come here and do a little search. And then they've added some searches. I don't know if that's going to show. Yeah, it's going to show a little bit. They've added some categories, performance, and then they add this little 3 thing called advanced. So I said, well, I want to search. I want to do a search for what's grown 30% or higher in the past 30 days. They gave me 115 results. 115 results. So then I said, well, let me do what's grown 50% or higher in the past 30 days. So these are companies that have had 50% growth in their stock price in the past 30 days. And I got 32 results back. So I said, I can deal with 32. I can hang with 32. So what I want to do, I want to say, okay, what has been performing super well using my CashApp, right? You see that? 50% in the past 30 days, using my CashApp search engine to find out if I could find some things. Now, here, notice this. I don't know all of these companies, but Moderna is on here. It's grown more than 50% in the past 30 days, I'm sorry. Palantir Technologies has grown more than 50%. Carnival, Uber. There's a thing called Trade Desk. Slack grew because of the buyout from Salesforce.com. Aurora Cannabis, Lyft, Occidental Petroleum, Kohl's, Virgin Galactic Holdings, Nordstrom's, Macy's, Appian Corporation, Spirit Aerosystems, United States Steel, Cinemark, Devon Energy, Cody, whatever that is, COTY, Alcoa, AMC Entertainment, which is a movie theater, Dave & Buster's Entertainment, Yelp, Children's Place, Brinks, Empire State Realty Trust, SkyWest, Hertz, Yalla Group, Whiting Petroleum, Pinduoduo. Those are the 32. So what do I do with this information, right? What I'm looking at personally is I'm like, okay, I try to group them now. I say, okay, here's what's performed well. First, I'm asking what has performed well. Then I begin to try to answer the question, why? Why have they performed well? This well. They're talking about over 50% growth, 50% up, 50% growth in the past 30 days. Through November, which was like a record month, these are companies that have done extremely well in November, and we're still in a pandemic. We're still dealing with coronavirus. We still got, cases, record highs, hospitalization, all this stuff. And I'm looking here and I'm saying, this is interesting to me. You got the movie theaters, which says to me that that industry was crushed so bad that the money's starting to move into this. I mean, AMC and Dave and Buster's. These are places where people got to go and be in the space in order for them to actually participate in what they provide. But yet, money's going in. Wall Street is putting money into these places right now, when we know they probably won't really be back in business, doing business like that. What, for how long do you think it'll be before you actually go back to a movie theater or go to a Dave and Buster's? I mean, maybe you're already doing it. I'm not quite sure. But how long do you think it'll be before people really start to go back to these places like on a regular basis without the fear of social distancing and all that stuff? Well, it'll be like, okay, let's go to Dave and Buster's. Let's take the family to the movies. Let's go to Dave and Buster's, have a good time. Let's get out the house and have a family night or a friends and family night. How long do you think it'll be before people really do that on a regular, before people are, like, accept doing that? And I'm saying to myself, this is interesting, because the same thing we just saw, where people were moving money into Moderna, people were moving money into BioNTech before people had really even heard about these companies bringing up vaccine. They had money over there just waiting on the run up. I'm saying the same thing we can do when we start looking at, okay, would it make sense to put my money in places that ain't nobody talking about right now? But man, can we foresee them having a huge comeback as we come out of the pandemic? What are your thoughts there on AMC, again, movie theater, movie company, movie theaters, Dave and Buster's, which is your place where you go and play games and have drinks and social events? I thought that was interesting. I also looked here. I'm looking at this thing, the steel, United States Steel. Alcoa is an aluminum company. Like 50% growth in the past 30 days. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? I would think I would hear something like an Amazon or, something that's, something that we've been using and that's really ready to make a whole lot of money during the holiday season and all that stuff. That's not where the big growth is happening. Repeat the list again? Okay, Ms. Maria, I'll repeat the list. All right, so here again. So what I did was I came to my little app and I just did 50% in the past 30 days. All right. Just so y'all can hear. Now, one place I think that y'all will be excited to hear about, many of you guys, is the cannabis industry has done very well. So Xpeng, I don't know what that is. Moderna, Palantir Technologies, Carnival Cruise Line Company. How long do you think it's gonna be before people really start cruising? So the point I'm trying to position you guys is how money moves to spaces way before people do. You see what I'm saying? And that's my position. That's how I win. I put my money in a space where ain't nobody really even talking about it. It ain't on the news. It ain't being talked about. It ain't a hot topic. It's over here in the cut. And next thing you know, by the time it come on the news, you've already got rich. So I'm gonna name these again. Some of these are familiar, some of these are not. Right? Carnival. This has grown over 50% in the past 12 months, in the past 30 days. But it's not something we actually have really used in the last 30 days. And this is where the shift of mind from Main Street to Wall Street really takes place. Wall Street is positioning their money in places that will have a positive effect, a positive effect on their money in the future. They're betting on the future. They're saying, man, I don't know how long it's going to be before cruise lines take off again. 12 months before we really start seeing people really, really taking cruises again. Well, I'm going to put my money there before people start taking cruises and start putting it, really, really investing their money and buying all the packages and staying in all the drinking all day. I have my money there before that, So when the money comes in, it's money that's coming in on top of my money, and my money just growing. If you were to go after Moderna right now, you will be putting your money under money because you'll be the person putting money on top of somebody else's money, where you might get a little bit increase, but you really have helped somebody else get a big increase. So what I kind of teach is the thought process, man, how can I can think like Wall Street and go places that may be very difficult to comprehend why I'm going there now. But if I have a futuristic mind state of what is coming down the pike in 6 to 12 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, I can put my money someplace now, let it sit, wait, be patient, and then start having money come on top of my money, growing my money, and then I just rinse and repeat. This is all cyclical stuff. So let me keep on with the list. So Carnival, cruise line, Uber. Now Uber is very interesting. Uber has been has really benefited from the pandemic. I think they recently selling off one of their selling off a division of their business. They just recently got some proposal took place that they kind of won, I think, in California to keep their employees as contractors. So that was very good for Uber. But not only just Uber, Lyft and Uber both have grown over 50% in the past 30 days. How many guys are Uber and or Lyft investors? Right? Again, that's something that many people use. But have you put your money behind the company that you keep using you keep supporting with your participation? All right, so Moderna, Palantir Technologies, Carnival, Uber, something called Trade Desk. I don't know all of these companies. Slack, I just mentioned that. They went up because they were bought out. Aurora Cannabis, a cannabis company. Lyft, Occidental Petroleum, that's an oil company. Kohl's, you guys heard of Kohl's? That's a retail company. Again, retail trade, as we saw on the list, is one of the biggest. Not only transportation, cruise lines, and airlines, retail was hit one of the hardest. So if you get hit the hardest, it's the easiest for you to return. It's the place that's easiest to grow from a place that's beaten down so hard. It's the easiest place to grow. When you start, this is what I mean when I talk about small cap companies. So let's take a look at Macy's for example. Macy's, because that's the one it said, right? It said Macy's. Now y'all can see my screen. On my side, it looks like my screen be cutting off, but I don't think it cuts off on y'all side. It just does that to me. I hate, you know what? I want to do this. I just want to come here and do it because it's a lot easier for me to do it on Yahoo Finance. On Macy's, right? Now, Macy's, I'm not a big believer in Macy's, right? It's a $10 stock, right? But a month ago, it was a $5 stock, right? And not $5 stock. What is this? $6.50. So Macy's, lo and behold, although I don't really believe in Macy's as far as long-term growth is concerned, it still is considered to be an undervalued company even at $10.96 stock price. It's up 5% today. So Macy's has grown over 50%. I guess that's what it's saying. In the past, I don't see where it's grown 50% past. I guess I can't really see it in the past 30 days. So Macy's, the Kohl's. So these are retail companies that were extremely undervalued, and instead of me chasing something that's going extremely high. For example, someone hit me up the other day and was asking about Bitcoin, and I was saying, listen, like Bitcoin is great. It's something that people are going to be talking about. Something that's super hot now because it's high. But guess when they wasn't talking about Bitcoin? They wasn't talking about Bitcoin when it was $7,000 and when it was $8,000, when it was low, right? Which was actually the time to buy. They're not talking about it in the news. You're not hearing about it on Facebook. You're not hearing all your friends talking about Bitcoin when it went from $18,000 down to $8,000. When it went down to $8,000, it was like, forget Bitcoin. I don't want it no more. You know what I'm saying? Let's change the topic. That's when you really wanted to buy it. But now that it's back to 19,000, now it's back in the news. Now all your friends talking about it. Everybody's saying buy Bitcoin. I'm saying, why are you buying Bitcoin at 19,000 when you wouldn't buy it at 8,000? To me, that don't make any sense. I just don't think. I just have changed the way that I think. I don't listen to the crowd. I don't follow the crowd because they don't really give great advice. Now, I'm not saying don't own any Bitcoin. I'm just simply saying, like, why would I chase it when it's at an all-time high? It's more probable, right? It's more probable that it will lose, that it will decline before it goes back up than it will that it'll keep going up. So if I were in a position where I didn't own Bitcoin, I wanted to own Bitcoin, I will wait on the dip. I will wait on it to decline because it's going to decline again. It's not going to just keep going up forever. It will decline. Same here, right? There's some of us who will just chase the greed. We'll see something that goes up. We'll see it going up. We'll see it going up. Tesla, whatever the case may be. And then we'll go out and let's go get some Tesla because everybody's talking about it because it's a hot topic. But then you have something over here like a Macy's. It's a $5 stock. No one's talking about it. And because no one's talking about it, you probably wouldn't have found it unless you're a Macy's shopper or you're into retail trade. You can say, you know what? It's $5, undervalued. If you still think it's a good company, well, let me go get 10 shares of Macy's, $50. And you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to miss that. You know what I'm saying? So that was Macy's, Kohl's, right? So we know retail trade, the retail industry, that's something that was hit hard. So because we hit so hard, because people weren't going to the stores, they would close stores, all that stuff, we know that that's a space where you're going to have a whole bunch of companies that are undervalued, that you can find for pennies on a dollar, $5, $7, $8. And, you know, if you are a well enough established company, you may not necessarily get back to your glory days, but from an investing standpoint, you could bring my money, you can help my money grow when you go from $5 to $7.50. I mean, you guys know that if you're a $5 company and your $5 then grows and you become worth $7.50, that's a 50% increase on your investment. 25 above 50 or $2.50 above 5 is 50%. Now, some of us don't look at it that way. We don't really conceptualize percentages. Like, if you go from $5 to $7.50, that's 50% growth in a short amount of time. Now, I could, be someone that just took it very lightly, didn't have a whole bunch in that investment, but I still got 50%. It could have been 50% on 100, 50% on 1,000, 50% on 10,000. Who knows? But these are things that once you get to the point where you want to start looking at things yourself and researching yourself, you can begin to say, man, this looks like it's worth a shot for my money to bring in some growth. And it won't be chasing things that are at all-time highs. It won't be chasing stuff that is that's in the greed section of the marketplace. Because more often or more likely that those that are in the there are high multiples, that are extremely greedy right now, that have had the best year, 33%, 37% that they've had in a long time. We're moving into a new year, coming out of a pandemic, and those same things are probably not going to have the same type of results that they had in 2020 that we have in 21. And the same thing can be said about all the companies that have been beat down, right? That are still valuable, and it's hard to find, but those companies are not going to have the same year in 2021 that they had in 2020. So if they had a very terrible year, but they survived, they got through it in 2020, what do you think is going to happen when things open back up in 2021 and beyond? What do you think is going to happen for those companies? It's going to be a kind of a shift right back to, okay, we get back to normalcy. We may not necessarily get to a place where we're growing heavily, but we were so far down in the dumps for us to get back to ground zero. The investors who bought, think about this for a second. As an investor, as a person who invests, if you bought something when it was -5 or whatever, -50, whatever, it lost 40% of its value, 50% of its value, 80% of its value, And you're just saying, you know what, I want to invest in you until you get back to zero. You get back to ground zero. That's like a 80%. You know what I'm saying? That's like if it lost 50%, it went from 4 to 2, right? That's losing 50%. To go from 2 to 4, that's a growth of 100%. It's not the same. It's not the same inverse, right? If you have something, you lose 50% of your viability, 50% of your value. In order to get back to where you was, you got to grow 100%. How many guys want to be in a position where you're on a 100% growth side of companies that's coming out of it, coming as we come out of a pandemic? In order to get to that place, you got to put on Main Street. You got to think ahead, just like a lot of these investors have already done. They've already doing it. Occidental Petroleum, that's an oil company. Kohl's, that's a retail company. Virgin Galactic Holdings, I don't know what that is. I think Mr. Seawright mentioned that. Nordstrom's, retail company. Macy's, retail company. Appian Corporation, I believe, is an energy company. Spirit Aerosystems, that's aeronautics, probably aeronautics and defense. United States Steel Company. Cinemark, another movie theater. Divine energy company. Cody, I don't know why I don't know what COTY is. Alcoa, aluminum company. Right? None of this stuff is sexy, by the way. It's not a Netflix or Amazon or anything like that. Facebook, right? These companies have outperformed Facebook, Amazon, Netflix in the past 30 days. Think about that for a second. Not a long time, but I'm just saying. Whiting Petroleum, 50. That's another oil company. Hertz. We know about Hertz. Hertz has been in the dumps. They can't get right. What is Cody? COTY. What is COTY? COITY. COTY. Let me pull that up for you. I want to see what this is. Look at this. Let me pull it up for you. So Cody, I don't know what it is. You can always find out. Just come here, guys. I'm going to say a little summary about the company. This is a $7 stock. It's grown 50% in the past. It's a consumer defense company. They're in the house industry and household products. They sell beauty products. Some of you women know what Cody COTY is. Okay. They provide fragrances, skincare, color cosmetics products through prestige retailers, including perfumeries, department stores, retailers, and duty-free shops under Alexander McQueen, Burberry, Bottega Veneta, Calvin Klein, Cavalli, Chloe, Davidoff, Escada, Gucci, Hugo Boss, Giussana, Yoop, Kylie Jenner, Lacoste, LaCancer, Marc Jacobs, Miu Miu, Nikos, Philosophy, and Tiffany Company brands. All of those brands that I just mentioned are part of COTY, Cody Incorporated. Okay. Look at this. They have department stores, traditional food and drug retailers, e-com retailers under the Adidas, Beckham, Biocola, Bazana, Bourjois, Bruno, Bonani, CoverGirl, Enrique, Jovan, Max Factor, Mex, Monange, Nautica, Pikesau, Rimmel, Risque, Sally Hansen, Stetson, 007 James Bond brand. It's in 150 countries and territories, founded in 1904. Wow. All of these brands are under Cody, by the way. You also find that as well, some of the stuff that you think is like a company by itself is actually part of it's a subsidiary of a much bigger and larger company. So any of that stuff that I just mentioned that you might buy, you might support, you might wear, it all is funneling into the Cody Incorporation, who's been around since 1904. Okay? So that's what Cody is. At any rate, they were clearly, let me go back here. They were clearly a $3 company 30 days ago, and they're now a $7.39 per share company. So in 30 days, they've grown from $3 to $7.39, which is over 100%. Wow. Now, of course, guys, this is like looking in retrospect. It's not like, it's not like I'm here ahead of time saying this stuff is going to grow 100%. But I did want to take some time to say, okay, let's take a look at some things that how they have performed, and then kind of discuss, okay, well, why is it makes me wonder, like, why is money moving over here right now, and causing this stuff to appreciate. I mean, I just stopped at 50%. I guess I can't go no higher than 50%. But these are some companies, and then I found these through my Cash App, whatever. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, let me block you. Yeah, I just had to block It's Carrying King Movek. That have during this run up November, companies that have performed, and a lot of these companies, you probably are not like household names to you, but some of these are sectors. It's based upon sector board. Retail trade is a sector. Oil, that's a sector. So a lot of companies within that sector done well. Carnival, which is done well, but also the airline, not the airline, cruise line, that sector has done well over the past 30 days. Even though we might not be looking at full operation for the cruise industry, full operation for the movie industry or movie theater industry, full operation for retail, full operation for oil, in a sense, because oil is going to be tied to the airlines, and the cruise industry is getting operation. As they get ramped back up, oil is going to start to take off again. All this stuff is saying, hey, here's some spaces, quite possibly some sectors to look at, to say, let's look at it ahead of time, get ahead of the freight train as we come out of a pandemic. And I found it interesting that these are companies that you're not really hearing them talk about on the news, but these are companies that have done extremely well over the past 30 days as it relates to the appreciation of their stock price. Getting back to some semblance of normalcy, maybe back to where they were at one point in time, and it's doing it early, the same way that we saw again Moderna, BioNTech. There were people who had intel on those companies that moved in March, and now they up 200%. Now they up 600%. 9 months later. Well, if we take a similar approach, although we may not have the same intel as far as information from within, but we do have intel, which is intellect, then quite possibly we can get ahead of some other markets and we can have some similar success. Is there anyone here that, you've invested in the past this year, 2020? And you have really done well? How many guys have actually done extremely well with? Is there anybody here that's done extremely well with investing in 2020? Now, when I say extremely well, let me put some figure to that. Let's just say extremely well to me would be 15% or greater. Have you grown your account greater than 15% in 2020, or have you at least seen some positions that you have invested in that have grown greater than 15%? Is there anybody here that you've seen some, you've done fairly well during 2020, a year of the pandemic? You've pivoted, made some adjustments. You didn't just sit still and just let your money sit where it was. You said, no, we need to move over here. You got over here. Great decision. You see some great results. I've seen some great results. I've seen the reason why I put that disclaimer on there is because I realize a portfolio is diversified. So there could be some positions that you're in now that you're just simply waiting on. It might be another 6 months before it turns for you. So I don't want that to be a discourager for you if you've got the strategy, like, you know what, I didn't get this for this to blow up in a month. I got this because I'm looking at this thing, what I'm saying, and where it's going to be 6 months from now, a year from now. And then you might be in some that you're like, I got this thing because I'm expecting this thing to move off right now. So there are different positions that you have in a portfolio in which we diverse that could cause your overall to be a little bit less than what you would desire, but you also have a plan for that as well. Now, notice some of the words that I'm using. I'm using a word like plan. Like, so I don't look at overall statistics because, again, there could be some positions I'm in now. They might even be losing right now. But I don't plan on selling them anytime soon because I'm looking at a year from now where they'll be. So I might take a few bumps and bruises in the beginning along the way, but I ain't selling them until I made some money. I'm not selling them until they get to where I expect them to be if I've done proper analysis. There's some, I said, man, let me ride this wave. This is what the tech is what's up right now. I seen that thing early. I got in on some tech stocks and I just rolled the wave on up. And then now I'm looking at when I'm going to exit those positions so that I could really bring back a great return. I tell you guys, I talk about this stuff a lot, but I mean, it just really is real. It's just really real. It's not just for the insiders, right? You know, I've seen a 50% growth in some of my positions. I've seen, you know what I mean? This has happened. Not only have I seen it grow, I've seen it to a point where I actually cash out, 70% growth, right? So, it's a plan, a strategy around some of the stuff. And I just hope that I've been able to be a value and service for you just from a philosophical standpoint as you look at your portfolio, as you look at possibly becoming an investor for the first time, whatever the case may be. So Mr. Deacon said, man, my delta is losing, but I'm okay. Now, why are you okay with it, right? Yeah, it's losing, but you're okay with it, right? But why? Because you got a plan. You say, I didn't get this delta. I got delta. If you got it for, I don't know where you got it. Well, you got it because you're looking at it from, you say at some point, people going to start flying. And when they fly, they're going to be flying delta. So you just holding on to that thing saying, hey, I'm going to collect my little dividend along the way, right? But eventually people going to start flying again. I don't know what that, and probably sooner rather than later, because the economy has got to get back to some semblance of normalcy. And the biggest part of flying is not going to be the biggest part that they're missing is the business flying. You know, people getting back into the office, having to fly from city to city, from business to business. That's where the big money is. Although we might look at it from a residential standpoint, obviously that's important. But all these business trips that people take, all these companies that didn't have to, send people to places as much as they would have done in the past. That's where that's where a lot of the revenue is lost at. Not just your domestic flights, your international flights that, your common people are taking. So anyway, guys, I went on longer than I actually expected I would talk. Hopefully this has been, entertaining for you guys. I like to talk about money. I don't know too many people that do, but but as we talk about it, it's something also we can learn about, and hopefully, this was beneficial to you tonight. In the comments below, I'd like for you to share something that you learned today. I don't do this just to do this. I do this to make a difference, and hopefully, I made a difference in your life tonight. We've taken a look at a couple things. And I really wanted to dive into this list. I probably, I'm really going to do some more of this because I started this process yesterday where I was talking about the concept of who moved my cheese. And I said that today I talk about it from a standpoint of the market, because the market is constantly moving. That means the cheese is always moving. That means the opportunity is always moving. And in order to have great success as an investor, you got to be willing to move with the cheese. And so as we see, some changes coming down the pipe, we see a change in command, change in policy. We see a recovery from a pandemic. Then be willing to change as well, but be willing to move with the cheese so you can keep getting some cheese. So you can keep eating. And the other thought, I guess I really want to stamp in your brain, is don't chase money. Like, it's hard not to, because it's exciting. You see something else happen, you see everybody else, giddy about it. It's hard not to chase it. But it's the stuff that people aren't talking about, the stuff that's not on the news, that's not highlights, that's not headlines. That's where a lot of money really is being made. And but that requires research, that requires looking into stuff, that requires having deeper thoughts and conversations and stuff like that. It requires a little luck to run across it, because there's so many different companies. You got to be lucky to kind of come across, like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, I never considered that. Oh, wow. Right? It's got to be something that kind of hits your radar as well. Right? But normally it's not something that's sexy. It's not something a whole bunch of people are talking about that really moves the needle for your bank account. Because if everybody was talking about it, everybody would be rich, and we know everybody ain't rich. So it must be what the rich folk not talking about with the poor folk that I need to be listening to. That must be what I need to be listening to. I need to be listening to what the rich folk talking about that they ain't talking about with the poor folk. Because they'll share everything with the poor folk that ain't gonna get them rich. But it's very difficult. Very, very rarely will they share the stuff with the poor folk that help get them rich. All right, Mr. Deacon said, man, this is wonderful. Turn on my notifications for future lives. Would appreciate your thoughts on crowdfunding investments. Is there a particular investment or just the process of crowdfunding investment? I have a few thoughts about that. I can share some thoughts on that on an upcoming broadcast. Plan, execute, follow up, and delegation adjust and move forward to secure your retirement and beyond. Securing your retirement, securing your legacy, securing your estate as well. All right, fantastic. Did you say, please post the entire list or send me to Messenger? Thank you again. I'll take some screenshots and I'll send it to your Messenger. That'll be fine. I can do that. Because for me to type out this ain't going to happen. So anyway, guys, this is the, Welcome to Wall Street, man. I'm your host, ERGJ. I'm a certified financial educator. I've been teaching, discussing about money in my community for quite a while. So I just wanted to kind of come on and do some more of what I do. So I don't know when I'll be back. I'll at least try to do this at least once a week. I've had shows where I've done it, on a regular basis. But I think as I do more recaps, I get more quality content. Although there's content that come out every day, if I do it maybe once or twice a week. So, at any rate, I want to say thanks so much for tuning in. I'm your boy ERGJ. I want you guys to remember this: that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. Matter of fact, we all we need. Thank God, that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
The new Black Wall Street. Thanks you for.
Oh, it ain't working.
The new Black Wall Street. Thanks you for joining the show. We gave a lot of great tips, but it's time to go. Take the knowledge we shared, hope you use it and grow. We will see you all there at the next episode of The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street.